was diagnosed with breast cancer in April of 2011, and I had gone through 4 months of treatment, through the standard treatment. Just went through 4 months of the strongest chemo that they had. Ended up having a bilateral mastectomy. I was 29 when I was diagnosed, and just was in the whole whirlwind of shock and everything else, and just going through the treatments. And at the end of all of that, at the end of my surgery, they found active cancer cells still in my body. 4 out of 5 tested active. And it appeared that the cancer had spread, or was trying to spread, to other areas. And so at that point, they wanted to start me on more chemo before starting radiation. And I started chemo again, and after surgery, and I was only able to take 2 rounds. And by that second round, it completely tanked my blood cells. And my white blood cell count was almost nothing. So I had to wear a face mask out in public, and I had to stop the treatments because my body couldn't handle it. And at that point, I had just enough time of waiting for my body to restore where I started researching. A friend told me about forks over knives, and at first, when they first told me about it, I didn't want to hear it because I thought, no, this is what I'm doing, this is what my doctor says I need to do, I don't want to hear anything else. But at that point, after 4 months, and it didn't even kill the cancer, it just shrunk it so I could have surgery, I watched Forks Over Knives, and it was like a light came on. And when I saw Ruth Heydrich and I saw Dr. McDougall on there, I thought, why didn't anybody tell me about this? And I emailed them immediately, and they both responded within a few hours the same day. And I just asked point blank, is there any reason why I should continue taking chemo and radiation? And because what I was feeling is, this is ridiculous. It didn't work the first time. Why am I continuing to make myself sick? And they both responded. And Dr. McDougall sent me articles on breast cancer and nutrition. And Ruth Heydrich also shared with me her story. And so that's how I first found out about Dr. McDougall. My personality, it's kind of like, once I know something, I can't just go in the gray area. It's like, it's all or nothing. And when I saw that documentary and I knew the truth from there, my eyes were open to it, I made a 180 turn right then and went completely vegan the next day. And actually the same day. And I got as much information as I could, like from the website and from my local stores, and I just started implementing what he taught right then. And that was in November of 2011. And I knew right then the only way that this could really be implemented in a lifestyle is if I went to the 10-day program, where I'm very hands-on learning, and I knew that was the only way I could really make this change, lifestyle change. And so I didn't have the funds after going through, almost a year of treatments and cancer treatment, all of that. I didn't have the funds to do that. And so I just shared with my friends and family what I wanted to do. And my coworkers, my friends, my family, they actually created a web page where people could donate online, and people I didn't even know gave money. And I get choked up thinking about that. But I mean, all these people gave money so I could come to the 10-day in March. And it was phenomenal. I mean, I went, and I was able to learn hands-on, okay, this is the practical application of how to do this. And I tend to make things so complicated in my own head that going to the 10-day, it just broke things down so simplistically. And I was making things harder on myself than it actually had to be. And so by going there, I learned just those practical applications from Jeff Novick, from Doug Lisle, from Dr. McDougall of, okay, this is how you make this a lifestyle. It's not just a fad diet. This is how this is what it is. And meeting the incredible people that I met, we created our own little Facebook group, and we've kept in touch and encouraged each other. And that was phenomenal. So going to the 10-day, I brought that home. That was in March of this year. And when I met with Dr. McDougall, my favorite part about the whole thing is I had had so much for the last year, just cancer on top of me. Because I was diagnosed with an aggressive stage 3 breast cancer. And it was an invasive stage 3 breast cancer. And he told me, I mean, everything was just, oh my God, it's cancer. And what my doctor had said is, basically the rest of my life is going to be all about cancer. And what she had told me is, from the beginning, you're going to have you're going to have chemo, you're going to have all this chemo, then you're going to follow it up with surgery, then you're going to have radiation, and then for the next 5 years you're going to take drugs, and then you're going to come in every year, every 3 months and have scans, and it was just your whole life is going to be about cancer after that. And I sat down with Dr. McDougall, and he just looked me in the eye and he said, you need to start living again, really living. Go on dates with your husband. He's like, the last year of your life has been nothing but about cancer. He's like, there's no reason for that. Go on living and take your life back. And when he said that, I was sitting in his office, and it was just like I felt this just this weight come off. My eyes filled up with tears, and it was like I could breathe for the first time. And when I left, and he did tell me, he said, you need to concentrate, because I was quite a bit overweight with the chemo. Most cancer patients lose weight with chemo. Young breast cancer patients tend to gain weight. I knocked the bars out of that one and gained a lot of weight. And he told me, he said, you do need to realize that since the cancer was stage 3, by that point, it had already gone all over my body. It had been there for over 10 years probably. And, not to have the false sense of, oh, I'm cancer-free, I can just live however I want. But it was also sobering when he said, you need to realize that this cancer is, it has gone all over your body, and there's no guarantee that it's all completely gone. So you need to adhere to the diet strictly. You need to exercise. You need to get the excess weight off, because my particular cancer was very estrogen positive. And so fat cells create estrogen. And so for me, weight loss is a huge thing. And I listen to that. I appreciate that sobering thought, because it keeps you on track, when you think, oh, I can just do whatever. So I went home. I hired a personal trainer the day I got back from the 10-day. Started working out with a personal trainer because the cancer was also estrogen strong. I ended up having to have another surgery where I had my ovaries and tubes completely removed. So it put me through surgery-induced menopause at the same time. Since I made the change in November, I've lost 95 pounds so far. And I went from a size about 22 plus. I kind of stopped checking after a while. It was just huge. But I went from about a 22 to now I'm currently in a size 8'6", around there, and I'm still losing. So I've never felt better. I've never been healthier. And I've posted everything through my Facebook page. All the people that sponsored, that gave, they all follow on Facebook, and a lot of them, I'm so encouraged, not all of them, but a lot of them have seen the changes, and they've asked me out of genuine curiosity, tell us what you're doing, what you've done. I have an uncle and a cousin and their whole family that totally went vegan. They went McDougall, and I was like, yes, because they live in Texas, and it's like steak and potato place, and they've totally changed. My mom, she was diagnosed last year with type 2 diabetes and had arthritis really bad, and had to have knee surgery and all of that. In January, she actually made the change. I had sent her a link, and I was like, look, just check this out, because she was on the diabetic diet and was still struggling with her sugar and all of that. And I just sent her the information. I was like, look, just look into it. And she did. She finally did after a while, and she made the change in January. She went from like a size 12 to a size 4, and her doctor was blown away, because after the first 3 weeks of doing it, her triglycerides had come down, and he had never seen that. He was blown away. He said, just keep doing whatever you're doing. And she's kept with it, and her medicine, he's actually halved her medicine, and he said, keep tracking her, and he's going to completely take her off. And her arthritis hasn't had any problems at all. It's basically gone away. I had a complete physical in January, and they looked at everything. Everything was excellent then. All my numbers were great. My doctor said everything was good. I had my last scan, CT scan and PET scan, had all that done. That was in February, I believe. It was right before I went to the 10-day. And everything, I'd been following it since November, and there was absolutely no cancer in my body at all. Nothing lit up. All my numbers, my blood work, I had my blood work done again in June, and all my blood work was perfect. It was excellent. And I talked to my oncologist because, after going in the 10-day, I became Dr. McDougall's patient. So I always write him and ask, okay, this is what my doctor's saying. What do I need to do? And he encouraged me, unless something changes, there's no point in going in and having all those scans done every 3 months and, just being in the doctor's office all the time. If the McDougall program wasn't here, if I hadn't watched Four Synchronized, if I hadn't found Dr. McDougall, I don't know, honestly, it sounds dramatic, I don't know honestly if I'd be alive right now. Because the road that I was on, nobody told me about nutrition. Nobody told me about that there was an alternative. Nobody told me that there was any other route than chemo, radiation, and surgery. I point blank asked my doctor about that. I asked her in the beginning, do I need to change the way I eat? Do I need to eat more organic? Do I need to do any things like that? And she told me, she said, no. She said, nutrition, she said there's no clinical data that proves it actually makes a difference. And she said it's more of just a psychological thing, that people feel like they're more in control when they watch what they eat, but it makes no difference as far as affecting the cancer. And she told me literally, she said, if you want to eat a donut, eat a damn donut. And so I did that, and I saw the results from it. I mean, I ate whatever I wanted. I ate whatever I could get down. I ate comfort food. I didn't change anything health-wise. And I saw other cancer patients, they would be in there getting chemo and they'd be drinking Cokes and, eating burgers and stuff just because the doctor said basically, whatever you can get down, that's what you need to eat. Don't worry about, food. And if I would have done that, I don't think I'd be here. Because what their prescription was after 4 months of the strongest, because I had dense dose treatments, so it was stronger doses in shorter amount of time. After all of that, the strongest chemo they had to offer, it didn't kill any cancer, it just shrunk it. And then their prescription, when it didn't work and the cancer was still there, is they wanted to give me more chemo. And so if I would have stuck with their treatments, I honestly don't know if I'd be here, because it would have just been chemo after chemo after chemo and then radiation on top of that. And I met with the radiologist because I wanted to be informed. I wanted to make good decisions. I met with him for over an hour asking questions, pointed questions, and it doesn't increase your overall mortality. All it does is if there's recurrence in the exact spot where it first occurred, it'll prevent that from happening. But it doesn't make your lifespan any longer. And all those drugs just weaken your body. It weakens your immune system. I saw that from, having to wear a face mask out in public and to go to work. All it does is tear your body down. It doesn't do anything to build it up. And it also increases your chances of leukemia, of other cancers. Weighing the options, just logically speaking, looking back from, you're wanting me to tear my body down and possibly give me more cancer to potentially stop any recurrence. It makes no sense at all. And so I thank God that I found Dr. McDougall, because nobody had told me that was a legitimate option. And I didn't want to go see, there's so many alternative therapies out there. And what I respected about Dr. McDougall is that he's been doing this for over 3 decades, that he has scientific evidence. He doesn't just tell you, well, I feel this is a good option. He shows you, here's the case studies, here's the scientific evidence. And that gave me comfort, that it wasn't just his opinion, but he's got scientific evidence that backs it up. And now I'm living a healthy, medicine-free life. I'm on no medicines at all. I'm healthier than I've ever been. And I'm completely cancer-free, and I'm going to stay that way, because it only makes sense. Why would you tear your body down to prevent something from possibly happening when you could just build your body up, build your immune system up, and make it as strong as it possibly can be, so if anything tries to come back, your body at least has a fighting chance to beat it. And that's the option I took. So I'm thankful for Dr. McDougall. I'm so thankful that he shares the Star McDougall stories, like Ruth Heydrich, seeing her story, it was phenomenal to me. She's like my hero now, And, and him, he's just so personable, him and Mary both, just share their lives and just give out so much information free as well, for people that can't even come to a 10-day. It's phenomenal. And nobody does that. So I'm thankful. I really honestly believe that I'm here today because of them.